Turachari, turachari ho, turachari ho, turachari ho. There is a reason you and I.
So this exhibition, Kwibuka Rwanda, which means Remembering Rwanda in Kinyarwanda, Rwanda's national language, is about survivors working at genocide memorials in Rwanda and the way they perceive the memorials as a place and why they have pledged their lives to clean and preserve dead bodies and human remains that are often shown at these sites. And it's based on my doctoral research that I undertook in Rwanda from 2011 to 2014 and the visual methods that I used during that research. So I think important is about this exhibition that it really shows a survivor perspective. So in the exhibition, we learn what the memorial, the place means for survivors. So for example, they see the memorial as a home, a space of communication with their dead loved ones. And they clean and preserve dead bodies and human remains because they want to give back dignity to those who died cruel and unjust death. So I think it is, first of all, generally important to remember genocides and mass atrocity, and it's particularly important to remember the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, because still today we have genocide denial in the country and outside the country. But remembering is important because it gives back names and faces to those who died, and it also acknowledges the pain and grief of the survivors and the pain and suffering of the victims. So it's really a public acknowledgement of what happened. And it should also teach us, remembering, not to repeat the mistakes and the crimes of history. So it is actually at one day, never again, rather than yet again. So the exhibition Kwibuka Rwanda is really designed for the general public, so that was the purpose of it, but also for the Rwandan community. And we had a lot of Rwandans actually visiting the exhibition during the launch and commemoration event on 21st of April. And I was very surprised how touched and moved many of the Rwandans who came to commemorate and who are themselves survivors were by viewing that exhibition, and how thankful they were that someone has done something like that in the UK. So I do hope that people take away visiting this exhibition that genocide is real and that they see the consequences, the material consequences of it means to lose your whole family, as it is represented here in many of the quotes by survivors. But it's also really about learning how to be empathic to the other, to your neighbor, to all the refugees coming. So I think that's really important. And when someone goes away from this exhibition and Googles the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, then I think we have done a step in the right direction. I think for me it was important to bring Rwanda, and particularly the remote and very rural memorials, to the outside world, and also to give voice to the survivors, who are a marginalized group in Rwanda, and often survivors are still killed on the hills, and they have still to fight for acknowledgement of what happened in 1994. So for me, it was really important to bring their voice, their perspective to the UK, so that other people can learn from that perspective and see the consequences of genocide. And I think in more academic terms, the memorials are very contested in the literature on Rwanda. And many people have written about the national big memorials, but they haven't really investigated the rural, remote memorials. And also no one has ever looked at why survivors have decided to clean and preserve and take care of the dead. So that's something that from an academic perspective is under research. So this is why I thought it's important to bring that in the public domain. So it was very not difficult, but it was a learning process curating that exhibition. And obviously we had to balance the danger of voyeurism and the idea to bring about empathy through showing the consequences of genocide. So that was quite difficult to see, like, what kind of pictures do you choose, What do you want to convey with the pictures, and how many dead bodies or remains do you actually show, and how do you contextualize this with text? So that was a very difficult decision we had to make. But I think in the end we went for showing some of the remains, but contextualizing them, and particularly giving them a human face, giving them human narratives. I think that is really important, that you don't just see skulls, but this exhibition is all about the fact that these are not just skulls, but these are human beings. And that those people who have pledged their life for taking care of them, they see them as human beings. And I think that's the important point that this exhibition wants to convey.
Turacyariho, turacyariho,